Hello and welcome to City at Your Service. I'm Jonathan Thomas, and right now I am joined by Elizabeth Welch, who is the event coordinator here at City Hall representing building services. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, we're just going to be talking about some of the different things that are happening around City Hall, and, you know, it's a public space. So how to, maybe if you want to have an event, if you listener want to have an event at City Hall, how you can, go about setting that up, and anything else that comes to our mind. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. We'll start there, though. I mean, there's so much that goes on around City Hall, so many different things that are happening. So let's say I wanted to have an event either inside or outside of the building. How do I go about setting that up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So we have plenty of spaces for people to have events here. Our City Hall is 115,000 square feet of beautiful copper and limestone. So we have the atrium inside the building, and that is one of the bigger spaces that people have events at. It's a very open public space. It's beautiful. I mean, our building is beautiful. We also have city council chambers, which you can have events in there. A lot of times we have award ceremonies and things like that. People will reserve. In order to use the inside of the building, you need to work with a council member or the city manager's office or the mayor's office to get sponsorship. But I'm happy to help people walk through that process and get sponsorship. And then it does need to fit within a public purpose. So have an educational purpose, a cultural purpose, or just something that generally serves the public. So you couldn't have a baby shower, for example, within City Hall, but we do plenty of cultural celebrations or youth award ceremonies, or YMCA we're currently talking with about having a potential youth government little policy day where they can, really come to the place where it happens, if you will. And so lots of things like that can happen inside the building. Outside the building is a little bit different. So we have the plaza, amphitheater, and mezzanine areas, and those are our designated free speech areas. So you don't need to obtain any sponsorship for that. And you can have gatherings or press conferences out there if you want to invite people to come and speak. Or we have Bike to Work Day coming up outside there as well. So a lot of things happen outside there. And then that reservations are just highly recommended so that we can make sure that there's nothing overlapping happening outside there. But those are the majority of the spaces that we have for people to utilize.
And so just going back to the, events inside the building, there's a form, I'm assuming, that people have to fill out to, that explains their purposes or reasoning for having something there.
Yes. So if you reach out to me and we can coordinate, which I'm sure y'all will put it in, but
we'll
City
put it
Hall
in.
events at Austin, Texas. Yeah. So we have an email that you can reach out to and inquire, and we could talk about what you're looking to have in the space, maybe where it's the most feasible in the space, or if it could happen here. And then I would give you the form and direct you to a council member or give you the contact information for you to reach out to, or for the host to reach out to a council member or the mayor's office to obtain sponsorship and collaborate with them and open up the conversation about how they can best support the event and sponsor it in the space.
And it's the same. Is it the same for outside? I know you said that reservations are recommended. So is it going by reserving a space outside? Is it the same?
It's not. It's similar. There's not sponsorship required for that space. So it's reaching out to me and then also making sure that we have the availability of the space, and then advising on what we allow and what we don't allow in the space. Like glitter is a big one on the building that we just really don't want used in our space. But and then we can turn on the power outside for you to utilize, but otherwise we don't provide anything else for outside. that's how that conversation starts.
All right, so keep the glitter away. If you do get something, no glitter. I mean, anyone who's ever had glitter on them, understands why you all don't want people having glitter.
Yes, right.
Throwing glitter around outside. Okay, so that's very interesting. Give us some insight on some of the events that you note that's kind of stood out to you, that you've seen, inside and outside.
Yeah. Outside recently, one of the ones that I really enjoyed, we had Special Olympics Texas reach out, and I think they used to have a very large presence in Austin, and they still have a presence in Austin, but people aren't as aware of their presence in Austin. So they had a law enforcement torch run, that there was going to be the Special Olympics in Dallas. So they were coming around to different cities throughout Texas and in Central Texas to get all kinds of law enforcement together to run from here into the Capitol and back, with a real torch. They so we kind of started off their torch run on the plaza, and they were able to send all of the officers off. And it was a pretty good group. I don't remember exactly how many, but from all over, not just APD, but it was all over the Central Texas area, the greater Austin area. And then they came back and they had speakers on the plaza. They had a podium. They had a torch in a costume. His name was Torchy.
Did he have tacos?
I was wondering. I'm like, Torchy's needs.
That's too easy.
Torchy's needs to collaborate with them.
It's right there. It's right there.
Yeah. And so they were able to then have their speaking after and initiate their Special Olympics, and that was really cool, and it worked out really well for them. And they had a pretty large attendance, so they were able to use the space, and they're hoping to come back. We'd love to have them back next year, and they were hoping to come back next year. So that's one of the things that I was really excited about working with.
Yeah, and I remember that, and I can certainly vouch for that, your description, because it was a very cool setup. Really well attended. People who took pictures outside that day had some good visuals, on those pictures. It was definitely a cool event. So I remember that happening out there. Like I said earlier, it seems like something's always going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very, a busy environment. We don't have a traditional event center here. So we don't have a ton of spaces that people can use, but it's definitely a building that means a lot to the community and people would like to use. So we do use it, and so much happens. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as far as, let's make it a little bit more personal about you, Elizabeth. I mean, you are the event coordinator. So, you see all these requests and, you filter through them. Just what's a typical day like for you? Because I know there's a lot of people who try to have something going on here, try to set things up or whatever general questions they have about City Hall and the space, the building, the area around it. So just what's a day like for you dealing with all of that?
Yeah. I feel like dynamic is one of the words that continues to pop up when I think about what this role looks like in this building. Really being prepared for a lot of anything to happen and any requests to come. So we could have nothing on the calendar and then something pop up, and all of a sudden maybe there's a meeting happening in chambers, which isn't something that I typically reserve because that goes through a different department and it's not really an event. But all of a sudden we need some tables and chairs and a tablecloth to have a caterer come by. And that's not something maybe we were aware of before. And so we're having to really move on our feet to make sure the caterer can unload and make sure that the table is set up the way that they need it and make it really successful for the people in the building. So I could be doing that at 10 a.m. and then 11 a.m. responding to emails, booking events and any questions or Teams conversations. And then we could have an event that we're setting up at 12:30 starts at 2, and trying to get all the organizers set up and make sure that they have everything that they need to have a successful and impactful event, and observing that and make sure everything is going smoothly. And it really goes by very quickly. It really does.
It seems like it would.
Yeah.
It seems like it would. Like you said, I didn't realize, I know it doesn't happen super often, but how many last minute things you have to deal with. One would kind of think your job is more, everything in front of you is kind of scheduled and planned, so you kind of know what's going on at all times.
Right. Yeah, it's something that I think we're trying to figure out how we can anticipate the needs more in advance of the occupants and people who are coming here for meetings. But there definitely are things that come up. Someone is in a room and they don't have enough chairs, and can we get some chairs in there? And while that's not really an event, it's still something that, I work for building services, so we manage the facility we have additional chairs, we have additional tables, and making sure that people are set up for success. And so again, it's not an event, but it's still on the cusp of the role.
Yeah, something you have to deal with. I have 2 quick questions before we let you go. So with all the requests that you get, I mean, just how crazy can it get in terms of the amount of requests, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely periods of times, like time frames that are more intense than others. So I know December was actually when I started in the role, because that was when City Hall didn't have an event coordinator before. So that's when I started in the role, and it was very busy. It was multiple things, even a day, almost every day in the week, something happening, because council is wrapping up and they have their farewell and the new council members are coming in and things like that. And then like January kind of slowed down a little bit, but now we're picking back up for May. And then we're going to slow down in June and July when council goes on their 6-week ish break. Mm-hmm. So I think I counted maybe 12 true events for the month of May, which still seems pretty busy. So, even if we don't have one event every single day, which maybe a traditional event center would have multiple events in one day because they have more spaces and they're coordinating all of those moving pieces, it still is pretty, there's still a lot going on, and it's a high amount of events when we're talking about like, okay, maybe it's only 12 for May, but that's been there's a lot happening going on in the building, because in this building, it's not just events that are happening. You've got council meetings, you have committee meetings, boards and commissions meetings, you have all the other things that are happening in the building. And so it's still high foot traffic and piecing all of that together with the events as well. Yeah.
All right. No, that's great. That's great, Elizabeth. All right. Well, is there, anything else you think people need to know, whether it be about anything upcoming people should know about the City Hall, any events you want to talk about that you know of, what else you got for us?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, we provide building tours as well. So you're welcome to reach out and we can get that scheduled. I know we've had a couple of school groups come through, and I can take, a group of your students on a building tour and give them a real look at what happens at the heart of municipal government. And the other thing we've got, so City Hall is known as the People's House, right? So we have Party at the People's House coming up on June 28th, which is not an event that I own, but is an event that I'm helping coordinate. So that's a Saturday, and it'll be a fun time. It's, I believe, the 3rd year that it's happened, and it's got lots of music and food and entertainment for people to come by and really enjoy the People's House. So that's one of the things that I'm excited about that's coming up.
All right. Well, very nice. Thank you so much for joining us, Elizabeth. Just go ahead and tell folks how they can reach you if they do want to set up an event either inside or outside of City Hall.
Yeah. So if you reach out to it's City Hall events at austintexas.gov, we'll be in contact. We're pretty responsive. You can expect a response within about 2 days maximum, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Once again, that is Elizabeth Welch, event coordinator here at City Hall. I'd like to thank her for joining us once again here on City at Your Service. Hope you have a great day.